We got more gardening work going on this morning. Jed's driving the lawnmower for me, right? High five. Okay, not a high five. We hooked a little snowmobile trailer up here so we can put the cucumber plants in bags. We still have a frost warning since it's April 5th, so we can pull it out during the day, let the plants grow, and pull it in during the night so they obviously don't die. This is a super good idea. We should have produce super early this way. These little guys aren't doing the greatest in these little tiny containers. Well, Brandon and I came down. We're gonna get a bunch of the excavator work done. There's a lot to do down here. So we're gonna work on this for a while everybody else at home works on gardening. But these things need a good grease job again. They worked a day, or not quite a day, but still need greasing. Like I was saying to Brandon, on the other excavator, if you curl the bucket back, you can actually hit the cylinders here, the two main lift cylinders for the boom. And I'm thinking it's because that one does have a longer boom. I think that one's a 13.7 and this is a 12 something. I don't know. I just work here. Okay, our first order of business for the day is finishing burying up this tree pile that we abandoned yesterday when it was quitting time. And watching two excavators do this once again is mind-blowing to me, and I think is just so cool. Like, we're grain farmers and we have two giant excavators. So sandy soil here, that is just ridiculous. You guys see that? I guess there's a little gravel on that scoop, but it's just so sandy. Guys, look, I'm almost touching the sky. You know, I've always wondered what a large excavator does to a T-post when you just go like this. It completely disappeared. Okay, Brandon and I's next job here is this is a dugout. Those of you that don't, that's what I call it anyway. Those of you that don't know what a dugout is basically you go in a low spot or a place that typically holds moisture, and you dig a hole so the groundwater fills it up, and that way cattle or the animals have a place to drink. Well, this was a pasture, so there was cattle in here. They needed a place to drink. It's no longer a pasture, and this kind of makes a mess downstream. As you can see downstream, it kind of is just wet and swampy, versus upstream here, there's nothing. So I'm thinking the groundwater's pushing out and making a mess downstream, and then the corn stalks down there. So our plan here is to just cover this thing up the best we can for now. I know it's not gonna be perfect, but we're hoping if we can get it covered up. It's gonna be wet, but it'll take a couple years, and I think it'll harden up and kind of fix our downstream problem a little bit. I think the most ideal thing would be cover it up and lay some tile through here, but it is what it is. So Brandon's gonna work on that pile, I'm gonna work on this one, and we're just gonna keep throwing it in. If you guys want to help support the channel, go ahead and try Factor 75. If you guys don't like it, well then you don't like it, at least you tried it. 50% off your first order, link in the description. This is my 6th meal, and I think every single one of them have been delicious from them and leave me feeling full afterwards, even though there's not much here. It's another windy day. Good old North Dakota. They got all the cucumbers transplanted on this trailer, and I think it's definitely overloaded. I went and I aired up the tires, and they're still squatting pretty good. But for just backing in and out of the shop for now, I think that'll work pretty darn good. If only we had a few more of those trailers. Well, a hefty truck just showed up from Wilton. I believe that's where he came from. Got a cone for mixing fertilizer, I think, and a whole bunch of sweet corn seed. Brandon and I loaded up all the stuff from Hefty and brought it down here to this old farmyard we bought, this building. We're gonna store it in here for now, because the garden that we're gonna plant this year is actually right over there. So we might as well put it right next to where it's gonna go. I gotta get this truck out of the way though. Well, Cameron and Dad joined us out here in this dugout. And man, we got a lot done. We made quick work of it. There's not much left. Just a little bit here, they're still trying to get pushed in. That's a big area we can farm now. If I had to guess, it'd be about an acre. Honestly, maybe a little more. Between where both piles were and the actual water hole. Dad's orders, hurry up and dig us a fast hole. Well, I think we're getting her done. Never done this before. This is probably very dangerous. If we hit each other's cylinders or knock off a hydraulic hose, that'd be very expensive. Brandon and I are both being very, very careful. There we go. Brandon and I made quick work of that. Maybe 10 minutes tops we had the hole dug. All these rock up there we got to get put in there now. Oh, that's a big rock. I felt the ground shake in the cab when he dropped that in. Brandon was over there helping me dig this hole, but now he's up on the rock pile. It's kind of frozen and the payloaders really can't do much, so he's been ripping it apart with the excavator here and dumping it in. Oh, that is such a satisfying sound. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love the sound of rocks falling on each other. And then the two payloaders are grabbing a rock pile that's like 500 yards that way and hauling it over here and dumping it, while I just continue to dig the hole. One kind of hard thing when burying rock piles to figure out is how big do you make your hole? Like, you don't want to make it too big that you just got all this extra room and then you gotta put the dirt back in, which is fine, but it's extra fuel and time. But you don't want to make it too small and you can't fit them, and then you just don't get the rock deep enough. And we try to get the rock at least 6 feet of dirt on top so that way the frost doesn't touch them and hopefully they never move to the surface again. Timber, or whatever word you use for dropping a rock. That was anticlimactic. All these rock I think were hand-picked back in the day, because this pile is so clean, there's no dirt in it. We've been farming this land for the past 15 years now. Renting it for 15 years, owned it one. We're finally able to get rid of this rock pile, no longer have to farm around it. I will say, as my generation of farming, I am very thankful for all them old timers that put blood, sweat, and tears into picking all this rock off this land by hand, and now it's nice and clean to where I get to spend my time farming it without having to worry about so many rock. Like, that is something I'm super grateful for. We just now got to get rid of the old piles. If I had to guess, that big rock is why them old timers put this rock pile where it is, because they couldn't get that thing moved. The ground is so frozen and slimy. It's like an ice skating rink. If you don't bust through the ice first, you just slide so bad. Well, that took a long time, but we got her covered up. I just got a bit of a clay mound here, but oh well, in a couple years you'll hardly ever know it's here. It usually, well, after 5 years, stuff usually starts growing pretty good. Get some root structure into the ground and it'll do all right. Brandon and I are filling in another dugout here. And what would be ideal for this is a dozer. But I guess our excavators identify as dozers. It's working-ish. I mean, it's the best we got to work with. Well, we got it closed up. It doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look pretty, but I think that's about as good as we're gonna get this one. At least now we have it closed up so groundwater quits coming up. And if groundwater quits coming up, maybe it'll dry up some and we can actually get in there and work it a little bit more. But worst comes to worst, we can at least farm a little bit closer to it over here. That stuff is, we'll definitely be able to do that. So we gained a little bit of land, but you know, sometimes I wonder why I live in North Dakota. It is so unbelievably windy out here. Oh my gosh.
We're trying to set up our water trailer to be the fertilizer trailer for the planter. So we're gonna get fertilizer that's gonna come in shuttles like this. We put these ones on here just to mock up to know where to put the hoses. And we're trying to get all of our fittings put together to go to there, to the pump, and then out to the planter and to that shuttle and into the cone and around, and a lot of complicatedness that's going over my head, but Brandon's got it figured out.
I gave Cameron the hard job of pushing the hose onto the fitting, see if he's got enough muscles. Push, Fluffy!
We got this a little bit more assembled. We got the hose that runs from the water tank into the inlet in place. We got an outlet that goes down to the cone in place. And we started mocking up how much hose we have going to the shuttles up here. And we got some more things put together that need to get put in place. But we're still kind of waiting on, we need to, I think, one more shut-off valve, or we need more shut-off valves and we need more hose. So we're kind of waiting a little bit.
Well, I just showed back up here to their giant project, and I showed up at the just right time because the work is now done, right, Brandon?
Very much so.
Timed
a lot of work.
Timed that just right. Cameron's drawing the
Coloring, staying inside the lines.
He's coloring the lines on the tank there, so when we're standing over here, you can actually read how full the cone is. Did you explain to them why we're doing what we're doing?
A little.